So I've been speaking on Jon Jones for a while. You know, some of it good, most of it bad. I believe Jon Jones is the best MMA fighter ever to step in the octagon in the UFC. Outside the UFC, there's room for debate. Inside the UFC, I think it's Jon Jones. Indisputably so. It's Jon Jones, number one. I think that. Despite that, I'm not trying to be ignorant toward or ignorant of the the things that Jon Jones has done outside the cage. You know, just because he's the number one best MMA fighter of all time in the UFC doesn't mean he's an angel when he steps out the octagon. He's had problems. He's had a lot of problems. And what he's doing right now, of course, damages his legacy, his career, all of it. Because what Jon Jones is doing right now is sitting on top of an entire division and refusing to budge. You know, Tom Aspinall deserves that fight. And I think it's past due time where something should have been done about, Tom Aspinall and what's next for him. Do I believe Jon Jones is going to fight Tom Aspinall? No. And I think it's very dumb that a lot of MMA fans are constantly holding on to hope about this. Jon Jones is not fighting Tom Aspinall. He's felt way too disrespected, and he's not going to do it. And what makes this so sad and laughable is that the UFC, along with many other people who are fans of the fight game, are taking Jon Jones, semi-frequent remarks about the fight as, scripture. In other words, when Jon says, when a reporter goes and says, Jon Jones mentions this and says that, Jon Jones said maybe when we asked him about whether or not he's going to fight Tom Aspinall. And then a week later, Jon Jones says, he's too old, so maybe he's not fighting Tom Aspinall. And then the next week comes, Jon Jones is seen training in London, talking about Tom Aspinall. Maybe the fight's back on. The fight's off. We've seen this thing happen before. When Conor McGregor was promised to fight Michael Chandler, nothing happened. The fight game waited 2 years for that. And what happened after they waited? Nothing. The fight never happened because Conor couldn't get his stuff together. He couldn't drop the sniffing powder. He couldn't let go of the beer. And nothing happened. Nothing's happening here either. Tom Aspinall deserves that belt. He deserves that belt. He is a force of nature right now at heavyweight that I doubt any current heavyweight fighter can handle. Not even Jon Jones. I think Jon has a chance, and I will choose him. But if you look at it logically and realistically and objectively, Tom has Jon's number in every facet of the sport. Despite all that, Jon's not going to take the fight. He's not going to take the fight. There's different forms of reasoning for it. I think my most favorite form of reasoning is what Islam Makhachev's coach said, which is that Jon always wants to win. He'll do anything to win. He's a winner by all means. He'll only take fights when he knows he can win. He's all about winning. And I think Jon deep down knows he's not going to beat Tom. And because he knows he's not going to beat Tom, he's not going to fight Tom. He's just going to, play the indecisive game for as long as he can play it before the UFC will be forced to strip him of the belt. And I think the UFC should have stripped his belt from him months ago. And it's really sad and disappointing that Jon still has the belt and I think he's on some island now sipping a coconut talking about, he's laughing at the fans about whether or not he's fighting again and all this stuff. And his post after post on MMA media about Jon saying one thing supporting that he's going to fight Tom and then another thing a couple days later that he's not. Let it go. Everybody needs to let it go. They need to let it go. The only way to beat Jon at this game is to take attention away from Jon. And then maybe Jon himself will let go of the belt himself. Because I doubt the UFC is going to strip him. Because if the UFC was going to strip him, they should have stripped the belt from him a long time ago. Jon still has the belt to this day. It's sad. I feel bad for Tom. I also don't because Tom still won't shut his mouth about it. Tom is saying the same damn thing over and over. Oh, I'm sad about it. Oh, I'm sad about it. Oh, it's not fair. Oh, woe is me. Don't say anything. Carry on with the UFC, and every complaint you have, Send it right to the UFC. Don't make this an issue, because the more you make it an issue, the more Jon Jones gets out of it. The more he gets out of it. Again, I'm a Jon Jones fan, but what's right is right. And what's right is that this heavyweight division keeps moving on. It's not moving on right now. It's too stagnant. Jon is sitting on top of it. He still has the belt. Tom is the rightful champion. He has a half belt. You know, we should be watching Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane within the next few months. And I think that's what the next title fight at heavyweight will be, Tom Aspinall against Ciryl Gane. I don't think Jon is coming back. I think something will have to be done. And it's either going to be Jon letting go of the belt, or the UFC having to take that belt from Jon. And then Ciryl will fight Tom for the unified UFC heavyweight champ belt. And Dana will be sad, because Dana has been promising fans for months and months and months now that he's going to get the fight done. But he's not. He's not. And Dana will have to come to terms with reality too. And that is likely when he'll strip the belt from Jon and have Ciryl and Tom fight over it. And I think the Ciryl-Tom fight, although Tom Aspinall is obviously going to probably be like a minus 1,000 favorite, it's a good fight. I think Ciryl is very light on his feet. He's very fast for a heavyweight fighter. And I think that will give him a chance on the feet where so many other fighters have failed against Tom. However, when it goes to the ground, Ciryl is likely going to get dunked on by Tom on the ground, because Tom has, evidently been raised on a jiu-jitsu match. On a jiu-jitsu mat. What? My pronunciation. Tom has evidently been raised on a jiu-jitsu mat for years and years and years. Since he was a child, he's been doing jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, if this fight goes to the ground, Ciryl is likely going to get dunked on by Tom there. But if Ciryl could keep it on the feet, I think it's arguably anybody's game. I really do. Ciryl is very light. He's very skilled, naturally so, on the feet. He can survive there. On the ground, he cannot. And there's also the case of Cesar Almeida, where I think, it's complete. Cesar Almeida flips what I just said. In other words, Cesar Almeida is very talented on the ground and not so much on the feet. So Tom might destroy him on the feet, but if the fight goes to the ground, Almeida has a chance. The bad news for Almeida is every UFC/MMA fight starts on the feet. So Almeida's kind of in a bad position from jump. So it's on Almeida to kind of drag Tom to the ground or do what he can to bring the fight to the ground. Ciryl, on the other hand, is in a good position from the start of the fight, because, again, every fight starts on the feet, and Ciryl is gifted there. If the fight goes to the ground, like I said, Cyril's in trouble. But overall, the bottom line is that Jon needs to get up off the heavyweight division and let it continue to flow. Let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next.